you're so into the middle of the book, you forget what you're looking at and what's words on the page. This is one of my goals that I try to reach when I'm writing a book. Like, I want to make it good enough so that you are so into the book that the world outside doesn't really matter when you're reading the book. So, which of you has read a book and you got so into it you forgot that you're like, I don't know, in a class? I'm Yancey, by the way. My life my childhood may not be as interesting as all the authors that came here to present, but if it wasn't for my childhood, I would have never, ever written a book. I was born in Miami, Florida, November 4th, 1962. I started reading at an early age because my parents never really let me watch TV. So reading let me keep my mind off the few worries I had. There's one book that I really liked. It was called Are You My Mother? By Dr. Seuss, and my favorite author at the time was Dr. Seuss. I really liked him. He was one of my motivations to become a writer. But around that time when I was reading that book, my dad came up to me and told me I was adopted. So I never knew who my real parents were. And from that day, the seeds of angst were planted at an early age. My original name was John Richard. Nobody called me John besides my teachers. But that was only for the first day of school. But then, after a while, my parents renamed me Rick after the judge who arranged my adoption. For a little while, I thought my father didn't like my name because he rarely used it. He either called me my son or little man. I grew up in a 3-bedroom house in Central Florida. There were many kids in the neighborhood, and since my house had the biggest backyard, it was the busiest. Many kids were out playing in my backyard. It was a nice neighborhood, I guess, but there's a lot of mean kids. But those were the older kids. So I hang out with the kids my age until it got dark, and by then mothers were yelling at their kids to get back inside. Growing up, my father wanted me to become a lawyer, which I really didn't want to. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do at the time. Whenever I said something clever, my dad would laugh a little. Then he would say he would make an excellent attorney. A lot of people knew my father and liked his personality. He ran for state representative, then state attorney, then state senator. He won every time. I really loved my dad, but I was a little afraid too because he was a big guy and he was buff too, so it was kind of scary. And one thing that surprised me was that one of his talents was singing. But he usually sang at political events. It was the best part of the thing because his voice was magnificent. When I was about 8 or 9, my father used a huge chunk of his savings on 200 acres of land deep into Central Florida. My dad and mother wanted to start a ranch, so they did. I grew up on that ranch and grew up working on that ranch. But that was my teenage years. And when the summer days grew really hot, hot and humid, I always got sunburns and deep calluses. I also daydreamed a lot. So my dad eventually realized, and he scolded me by saying, "Get your head out of the clouds and concentrate on what you're doing." It kind of hurt my head because he was really strong. And so, yeah, I really forgot that. He always said that. And my first story that I wrote was in 7th grade when my English teacher gave us a project to do. I wrote this story, but I intended it to be at least 5 pages long, and I wrote it at least 25 pages long. But I guess that's close. They both have 5. I also made my mom type it because she was really fast at typing. Her career at the time was a legal secretary. I turned it in to my teacher, apologizing for making my story really long, and she replied with this quote that also motivated me. Never apologize about something you're proud of. Because she didn't want to make me feel bad, so I guess that was one reason she said it. But it really motivated me to become what I am today, a writer. I was never really the worst kid in the class, but that also didn't mean I was the best kid. I never really got straight A's because, I don't know, I think I got distracted. Later, I graduated Lakeland High School, and around this time, my passion was for theater. I appeared in a couple plays, but I was so in love with theater that I decided to write plays. Eventually, I made it to some local community colleges. Then, I finally decided I wanted to go to college, and I knew exactly which one, the one my dad graduated from, Florida Southern College. I majored in communications, which my dad, on the other hand, thought would be an excellent degree for anyone thinking to become a lawyer. It would be, but I wasn't thinking about becoming a lawyer. I was thinking of becoming a writer. After at least a year in Florida Southern College, I decided to switch to Florida State University. And again, after at least a year, I moved. But this time to Chicago, where I attended Roosevelt University. There was a lot of colleges. Actually, I went to like 2 more, but they're not worth explaining. Because I wasn't there for a year, so I switched a lot. But then I went back to Florida because finding a job in a big city was difficult and it was really cold. One thing I least expected happened, and a lot of people don't really expect this to happen, happened. I enrolled in law school. I didn't really like law school. It just wasn't for me. I lasted a year. Then one day I called my dad and told him that I didn't really like law school. He would probably call me. I didn't think he would because, he really had high hopes for me to become a lawyer. And once I told him I didn't like it, he just said, I didn't think it would, and that's all he said, and he hung up. And then I had a job in the IRS for a while, but then I quit it, and started writing full-time in 2004. And my first book that I ever wrote, even when I had a job, was one of the plays I wrote when I was younger. I published it in 2001, and if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't have published something. And I wrote a lot of stuff, like not important stuff, but like the confessions of a tax collector and how I spent my life in the IRS. Later on, I start to head into more of my popular books, like the Alfred Crop series and the Monstromologus series. The Monstromologus series were about this 19th century doctor and his apprentice chasing and being chased by monsters and demons. Then one of my most recent series are the books about the 5th Wave. This is one of my recent books, and we got some awards. Not a lot, but I guess let's go with that.
Drop your weapon.
You first. Drop it.
I know you're human.
Oh.
Because if you were one of them, you would have shot me already.
At 1:07 a.m., the Odyssey satellite received images of an unfamiliar object moving past Mars. It stopped 250 miles above the Earth and is now orbiting our planet.
We called them the Others.
What do they want?
Earth. That's the reason they're here, Cassie. They need the Earth.
First, they took our power, throwing the world into chaos. Then they took our cities, laying everything to waste. Next, they took our lives with an unstoppable airborne virus. Worst of all, they took control. The Others were already among us, exterminating anyone who'd survived.
The Others are hurting themselves for the 5th Wave. They have the ability to inhabit human hosts and control their actions. They look just like us. We can't trust anyone anymore.
How am I supposed to fight the Others if we don't know what they are?
You gotta get my brother.
I'll get you there.
You don't know anything about it.
The others took Sam, and I'm gonna go get him.
We're fighting simultaneous attacks on the last metropolitan areas. If the fifth wave succeeds, humanity will be wiped from the face of the earth.
The others see our hope as a weakness, but they're wrong.
This is our home. They will not possess it.
That was the way that it says. The others are like some sort of extraterrestrial animals, not animals, life forms, and as one of the commanders said, they look exactly like us, and they're already on Earth, so Cassie has a struggle of trusting people because one of her friends were one of them. And so later in the story, she learns not to trust anybody until this one person comes out and saves her, and his name's Evan. He saved her because she got shot by a person named the Silencer, and the Silencer are these like people that like I don't know, they have these snipers and they like silence them with this weird thing. I'm not sure how it works. My brother explained this to me, but I'm not sure. But oh well. So she got shot in the leg like 3 times, and she passed out under a car. And then she woke up in some house in this little girl's room. And after a while, he healed her, and then she realized her one option was to save her brother, which the others, well, not the others took them, but she was worried that they did because when they took her brother, they took him in normal school buses. Yep. So car engines didn't work. You can't use your cell phones or anything. Everything didn't work at all. So anything that ran on a motor, batteries, like anything basically run with electricity was all gone and did not work at all. But then the school buses worked. And when they were at a camp called Camp Ashbit, and that was a camp for survivors that survived the first, second, and third wave. Third wave was a disease that was carried by crows and killed hundreds and maybe even millions of people. And the number one goal for the others right now, well, in the story, was to clear off all humanity. Because the dad said that they're here for one thing only, and that was Earth. And then I wrote some other books. I mean, the movie wasn't as good as the book. You guys should always read the book first. Because there's this one part in the movie that they didn't show, but I wrote it in the book. It was about this little girl that Sam made. It's about a little girl. Her name was, I don't remember, but she was one of Sam's friends, and she had the disease carried by the crows, and there's these stamps they give them, and one's a red stamp, one's a green stamp, and they're smiley faces and friendly faces for kids. And so she got the green stamp, which meant that she would have to go to the hospital. But then she started yelling at a soldier that she said she was fine, and she wasn't. And she was small in the fifth wave, in the book Fifth Wave. But then later in the Infinite Sea, my second book, she was vital to the story. I'm not going to explain what happens because you guys can read that on your own. Yeah. Writing is basically what I do. Writing is basically what I do now. And where my dreams were leading. We're trying to lead me. Some things I do when I'm not writing is that I obsessively watch American Idol. And I didn't explain this later in my presentation because I'm not sure where I could put it. But I was an English teacher back when I had a job, when I first job, not writing. I was an English teacher and taught for like 4 years. But when my son has a struggle with his essays, I try to help him. But when I try to help him, his grades go down. I'm not sure why. And that confuses me because I was an English teacher. I should be good with this stuff. And I was Oreos. How do we define ourselves? How do we define ourselves? What exactly does it mean to be human? What remains after everything we trust, we believe in, and rely upon has been stripped away? That is one question I'm leaving for you guys to answer for yourselves.
Because you don't know me.
No, that's like, I don't know, I think it's a I'm not sure. But I'll just leave it for you guys to think about and think for your time.
Thank you, Yasmin.